Legendary actor Paul Newman once said, "If there truly is a heaven on earth, it must be VIR." For the first time in its half-century history, this truly glorious ribbon of racing real estate hosts the most prestigious event in amateur motorsports, the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs.
Gorgeous fall weather has greeted us in Alton, Virginia, the site of Virginia International Raceway, which for the first time in its history hosts the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. It's another championship race about to unfold, this time F500 with 15 cars on the entry list. Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Marine, Larry McLeod alongside Hayward Wagner down in pit lane. And Larry, this race with 15 cars, a great diversity of cars as well, and some talented drivers about to do battle with a national championship on the line.
A definite diversity. The origin of this class, you go back to the early 80s, is kind of an alternative to the old Formula Ford group as a budget entry. Started out with the snowmobile drivetrain 494 two-stroke motors, has evolved from there. Now you've got the bigger 593 motors, but then about a decade ago, all of a sudden the motorcycles were allowed in. So you've got a lot of these Suzukis with the four-stroke, and they have a gearbox. So what you're going to see out here is a lot of the front runners running a 6-speed Suzuki, and some of the mid-packs will be there with their 600cc two-strokes and their clutches.
And chasing some of the late developing stories down on pit lane is the third member of our broadcast crew. Hello, Hayward.
Ryan, this is a class that you never know what you're going to get. These cars are high-strung, they're fast, a lot of RPMs, and you're running a bike motor in most of these cars that was not intended to be encased inside the bodywork of a car. It's used to getting the air that you get across a motorcycle. So a lot of these guys have really worked on the aerodynamics of these cars to get better flow, help keep things cool. On the front of this grid, we have Clint McMahon. Clint is blazing fast, but year after year always seems to have just a little bit of bad luck. This year he's come back with the same car, but a new all-carbon fiber skin on it. You can see all the work they've done here to get the aerodynamics right. You got brake ducting right here that runs air down to the brakes. You can also see right in front of Clint's steering wheel, there's two aluminum nubs sticking up. Those are the paddles that he uses to shift the motorcycle engine. Beside him is Calvin Stewart. Calvin's known for having a car that is incredibly fast in a straight line. If Calvin gets a chance to get ahead of Clint, Clint's really going to have to work on the corners to keep up with Calvin.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much, Hayward. And something that was interesting there, you talked about the history of this class. It certainly runs deep, Larry, but development's still a big part of it. You never quite know what you're going to get year to year.
The development of the aero has continued to evolve. In fact, just talking there about Clint McMahon, the pole sitter's car, he has that new bodywork on the car. And in fact, if you notice there, the nose is a little bit different color black than the rest of the carbon of the car. That's because when he got here, he had a much different, actually better aero front end for that car. Cracked that during practice last weekend, had to go back to the old style nose, and he says that makes more of a lift on the front end, makes the S's a lot more challenging now than what it would have been with the better downforce of the old aero.
Taking a look at turn one and the front straightaway coming into turn one here at this beautiful VIR circuit. We're running the full course, 3.27 miles. It twists, it turns, it undulates. It's a real challenge for driver and car alike.
I love this track. It has a bit of everything. You know, it's got the S's, which are essentially two different sets of S's. You got the lower S's. You kind of come at them at a slow entry speed. You come shooting like a rocket out of there, under the bridge, and then you hit the uphill S's, the upper S's, and they are, in a lot of cars, going to be flat out, and same thing with these, and then it's just going to be a breathe as they go around that left-hand south bend with the high risk reward. There's a lot of grass with dirt on their right, but if they can stay on pavement, they'll be flying toward the oak tree.
Well, there you see our pole sitter. You've got Wiley on the entry list. He goes by Clint McMahon in that beautiful car that Hayward was talking about a moment ago. Calvin Stewart from Novi, Michigan alongside. And let's go ahead and introduce you to the starting lineup. That will be your front row, McMahon and Stewart. Eric McCree and David Lapham will be alongside each other in row number 2. Starting fifth will be Aaron Ellis from Farmington, Minnesota. He's the 2000 champ in this class. James Wida from West Lafayette, Indiana. He's the 2013 champ. He'll start 6th. Jeff DeLong and Corey McLeod will start 7th and 8th from Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, North Carolina, respectively. Jeremy Morales and Jay Beckley, 9th and 10th. Robert Gray and F. Russell Straight Jr. making up the 6th row on the grid. 11th and 12th starting positions. 13th and 14th belong to Jack Walbrin out of St. Louis and Sykesville, Maryland's Chuck Maccabee, and 15th, Timothy Freest from Leavenworth, Kansas. Taking a look at that grid, drivers clapping their hands, exercising those risks. This is going to be a challenge physically.
Great shot of a different arrow as you look from right there with Calvin Stewart's car. Very different arrow than the one center shot in the orange. That's Eric McCree's car. And then you can see David Lapham's car. Each one of them a different set of body. And then one more beyond that was Aaron Ellis in that white car. No front nose. He actually designed and built that chassis himself about a decade and a half or so ago. In fact, one of our former winners in this field, as there's several of them, believes that the arrow in his car is very efficient for long straights.
We were talking before coming on air, this class very strong in select regions around the country. Last year, the car count at Sonoma, admittedly, not what we would like to see, but a nice rebound here this year with 15 cars set to take the green.
Great bump up in participation, and a lot of these guys are already talking about next year at Road America, even getting back to where they used to be with the 25 to 30 field. But this is going to be exciting because if Clint out front can't quite open that early gap, he's going to have Calvin Stewart and Eric McCree on his tail for the entire race. It's going to be up to Clint to try and get that gap, maybe a 5, 6, 7 car length on that first lap, as he had done really well in qualifying that way early in the sessions.
So Clint McMahon is your Tire Rack Pole Award winner. He is trailing behind the official pace car of the event, a Chevrolet Camaro with a special livery commemorating the 75th anniversary of the SCCA. This is the 56th running of the National Championship Runoffs, and our coverage of the Runoffs is brought to you by Mazda. It's a good look at this field. You can hear them as well. It's a very unique sound. You know when this class is on track, and if you're standing near them on the grid, this is maybe some of the smaller cars of all the cars on site here, 600 plus cars at the Runoffs this year, but they make up for it in noise, there's no doubt.
Yeah, just 850 or 900 pounds a car, but they are screaming, well the other side of 10,000 RPM, and all of these, whether it's the two-stroke Rotax or whether it's the Suzuki four-strokes, they're all high revvers, and they just scream. You know exactly where they are. It's just going to be interesting here on this warm-up. Watch them really try to build the heat in those tires. They're all running the same Hoosier tires, so no real advantage to anybody, but it's how much heat you can build so you can get a run off a hog pen all the way down the front straight at the end of that first lap, maybe try and have a gap.
With this close-up shot, you can see the curbing, and you can see how rough that can be. Some cars of the 600 plus here at VIR for the Runoffs, that's no problem. What about these cars? How do they handle that kind of rough curbing?
Not nearly as well. So part of the low budget terms on this is there are no springs in this car. Essentially at the front end, there's some movable suspension, basically only held up with these pucks as they call them. And in the rear, it's got some movement to it, but it is a classic live axle like a go-kart. It's just a spinning pipe that those rear wheels are connected to. So really, you're not going to see a lot of curbing on these cars.
And the other element of this too, look how low to the ground the driver sits on a track that has so much elevation change. Talk about blind corners. They're really blind for a lot of these guys.
Definitely. As they come up over those uphill S's, you can no way can you even see until you're all the way around by South Bend to make that right. And when they come up the hill, down the back straight, up to 13, the kink into 14 to start the roller coaster, it's just a true roller coaster on one of these to go around that bend and down that hill from their vantage point.
Well, you heard it from Hayward in his opening bit there, that Calvin Stewart's car is wickedly fast in a straight line. How critical is this start going to be for Clint McMahon to make sure that he keeps Stewart behind him?
It's going to be interesting to see how they jump that start, how they both time it, as they'll be side by side going down into one. And what we've seen is the inside line normally is where you want to be going into one, but the outside has gripped. I actually talked to Eric Prill, of all people, who he'll be racing later this weekend in a production car. He had said there's actually a sealer patch that runs across the track. And it's right now more grippy than the regular asphalt, and it's on the outside line as you go about midway to the exit of one. If Calvin can get himself out there and maybe try and use that to at least make it interesting for Clint going into the NASCAR Bend in 2.
In a lot of respects throughout this year, it's been about McMahon and Stewart. It was McMahon who was able to take the track record here away from Stewart going back to April when these cars were here for the Super Tour weekend. They were 1-2 in qualifying once again. Advantage McMahon there, and it was a blistering lap, 157.361. Turned that in on the first of 3 days of qualifying. Good enough for pole by nearly 1 second. But We'll see if that can
His
translate
second
for a race.
pole, right, 2 years ago when he last ran at Indy, he was on the pole there. And so back on the pole here, he knows how to qualify, but now let's see how can he race.
4 out of the top 6 starters have won a national championship before. It's McMahon in the 34, Stewart alongside in the white 07. The pace car makes that dive to pit lane, waiting for the green flag. A little bit of a trouble getting aligned further back in the field. Looks like that's pretty well sorted now. Waiting for that green flag, and we are underway at VIR, the 56th SCCA Runoffs, F500 underway. 15 laps or 40 minutes, whichever comes first. And how about Calvin Stewart working the outside, has to fall back, and now under a threat, a challenge from McCree right off the bat.
McCree definitely tried to stay in behind Clint to try and stick with him and make it hard for Stewart. Stewart, though, able to hold in there right now. What it's done, it's actually left Clint with a little bit of gap. As I mentioned, can he get that 5, 6, 7 car lengths early and just put it in cruise control with Stewart and McCree behind him? But Stewart is not going to make this easy.
McMahon has sprinted ahead. Stewart holding on to that second spot, able to hold off the challenge from McCree there in the early stages. And now McCree has Lapham all over his rear wing of that race car. It's awfully tight. But up front, look at McMahon already stretching that gap as they come through the S's for the first time.
Watch them come up through those upper S's, and you can see as the car is just that little bit of elevation change, the car just takes a little bit of a dive. Again, these are not fully suspended with, you know, high-tech chocks or anything. These things will move around a lot.
And we're seeing that already. Move back in the pack there. We saw the brake lock up as the battle is joined further back in the field.
There's going to be a lot of drafting back there. As it looks like already Aaron Ellis under some serious fire. I believe that's James Weeda right behind him in the yellow striped black colored car there as they come up the hill to 13.
A couple of distinct looking cars in a lot of respects. That was Morales in the 19, and right there you can see him right now holding off the 60 of Beckley. They started in 9th and 10th respectively. Actually, that's the 66. So that was DeLong who was dropped back a couple of spots from his 8th place starting spot.
Big struggle here on that first out lap. But you're right about Morales really showing some speed here on this first lap.
Coming by to complete the first lap, and look at that gap.
Wow.
I mean, maybe it's not that big of a surprise based on the strength of McMahon in qualifying, but still, you don't expect to see that at the end of just one lap.
His qualifying pace was almost a full second up on Calvin Stewart in qualifying, but you can see him now at a 1:59.7 on his first flyer.
Unbelievable. 3.2 seconds clear of Stewart after just one lap. Then it's McCree, Lapham, and Ellis, your top 5 after one circuit around VIR. There is Calvin Stewart from Novi, Michigan, the town that coincidentally gave its name to those fabulous Novi engines that were so powerful in the 50s at the Indianapolis 500.
Take a look real quick at what that lap record was. It was a 2:03. So even on the first flyer lap, Clint's already under that.
Yeah, that didn't last long. Here's a look at Eric McCree. McCree started in 3rd. That's where he runs. We saw him take a shot at Stewart right into the first sequence of corners. Couldn't get the job done there. Now has to settle in. Looking at this track, where are some of the best places to make a pass if you're trying to size up your opponent?
It's really got to be going into 1. If you can get the run off of Hog Pen, which is the exit of the roller coaster downhill sequence, you've got to nail that exit and get a run down 1, maybe with a draft. And you almost need to be a full car length ahead going into 1, because there are kind of 2 lines, but you got to be careful that you don't slide out wide and catch the dirt on the exit. If you can get a good braking into the top of the hill, which is the King 13 into 14, maybe you can make a pass there, because that long straightaway is so enticing. But because the braking zone really isn't straight, makes it a very difficult and almost sometimes dangerous pass.
McMahon is long gone, but Stewart and McCree continuing their fight.
And Lapham staying close with him. Does not want to lose that chance to stay on that podium there. Stewart, McCree, and Lapham are just going to just start to pull away, as you can see, as Ellis and Weeda right there in that shot. Weeda doesn't want to lose Ellis on this either.
McCree, a Michigander, making his second runoffs appearance, made his debut at Indianapolis in 2017. didn't really go the way he would have liked. 35th, the final spot there, ultimately where he finished, as we take a peek back now at the battle for 5th in that unique car of Ellis.
Ellis, yeah, that is a square tube frame chassis. He's got a round tube also as a sister car, but this is the square tube. You can see his own bodywork on there, but right now that's not helping him. It's James Wida in the Scorpion, and that actually the Scorpion, you see that single pipe coming out the back? That is one of our 593 Rotax two-stroke engines powering that one, which gives him a pretty good dig through the corner, but as soon as they get to the straightaway, having the 6 speeds in the Suzuki is an advantage. But he's really quick right now, and he's just staying right in the mirrors of Ellis.
The diversity of both chassis and power plant in this class, it's really tremendous. It's a lot of fun to watch and try and figure out, all right, where on this track is one combination going to have the advantage over the other?
Yeah, and that's where, like I mentioned, that those the 4-stroke, the Suzuki motors, being able to keep it exactly in the power band with the 6 speeds actually tends to pull a little more than what you see on the 2-strokes. 2-strokes are tuned by a clutch pack. It's a snowmobile drivetrain, at least by design, and they do have a pretty good power they kick in, but it's hard to beat the top end on the Suzukis.
Ellis, very experienced from Farmington, Minnesota, 23 runoff starts, and had a win back in the year 2000 at Mid-Ohio in this class. Did not race at Sonoma, was at Indianapolis the year before, and in total 5 medals in runoffs competition, a couple of poles as well. Leaning on that experience now as he comes under pressure.
A little bit of a margin now he's able to build back from Wida. Wida, also one of our former winners back at Road America a couple years back. So he certainly knows how to win a race, especially some long straights like Road America. So maybe this is more his style as well. He should be able to maintain, try and keep close to Ellis. As that right there is the number 19, Jeremy Morales. He's in another one of our Suzukis. That's one of the Scorpion chassis. So his chassis is the same as McMahon's chassis. Oh, and he's already off. That's Wida.
That's Wida, yes. Look at that.
Even spins coming out, and that car is so low, I don't know that he'll be able to keep that going and get that out of there. It's been extremely dry last couple days. Oh, and the 55, that is Robert Gray, one of our Quadrini cars.
Started back in the 11th spot and appears to have pulled off.
He's at the end of the back straight in one of those unused chicanes.
A nice safe place to be off track. Not so lucky for Wida. That's really unfortunate for the West Lafayette, Indiana native. Gonna have to leave that car there for now, and we stay green. I think it is.
As Clint McMahon is just all by himself.
6.3 seconds clear of Stewart the last time by.
To give you an idea, his qualifying time right here, when again just qualifying, right, it was a 1:57.3. His last time by was a 57.8. He's a half a second off his qualifying pace. He is just clipping those laps.
And for qualifying, you set the car up in a different way. You optimize it for one flying lap, and obviously that's not the focus over 15 laps or 40 minutes in a race like this.
So I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he's got a lot of experience, ran the USF 2000 for a while, and in that series had a lot of coaching. They'd watch videos, and his mindset is inch perfect. Don't miss an inch. You know, he actually got a stern talking to from one of his driving coaches back then, watching some video, and says, hey, you're 6 inches off of that curb. And he was like, yeah, isn't that great? He says, no, you're 6 inches off. You should be less than 1. And he's been focusing, Clint has been, on being inch perfect everywhere. And this is what happens when you're inch perfect is you're going to gain a 10th here, 10th there, 10th there, and suddenly you're 7/10ths faster than the next guy on a lap. And it's not a big mistake by one guy. It's just a 10th in every corner. He's proving right now what inch perfect does for you.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much, 6 inches, but yes, it makes all the difference in the world, especially when you're as close as these two are. Look at this battle for the final medal position. McCree and Lapham putting on a show here. Lapham from Waterford, Michigan, in a 2010 edition of the Nova car, of course on the Hoosier tires, as all of these cars are.
So I see Lapham chasing at an orange car. I get a flashback to last year with Jorgensen running that orange car. The two of them had a great battle for about half the race there at Sonoma. They ended up catching a back marker because they were running with FF, and Jorgensen ended up, unfortunately, got taken out there. And Lapham went on. He was very quick in that race. Unfortunately, in the tech shed, as it was one of his first races with the Suzuki motor, had the incorrect restrictor plate. I guarantee you he's got the right restrictors in there this weekend, but he's no shortage of drama here as he continues to chase down another orange car here in a tight race.
And no shortage of experience for David Lapham. He's made 19 previous runoff starts, and his racing career goes back quite a ways to the old SCCA Showroom Stock Series, raced in the Escort Endurance Series, if that rings a bell for anyone. And it's a family affair, too. His daughter, Katie, has started at the runoffs before. I know at Indianapolis it was a family affair there. And Lapham last year ended up with a 5th place finish, but that maybe is a bit misleading given the fact that the car count wasn't 15 like it is here.
But that's what these are, right? You've got to be, everybody always says you can't just win on the track, you got to win the tech shed. And unfortunately for him, that kind of new setup to him going to that Suzuki motor is, unfortunately, he just had the wrong restrictor plate in there. Learned his lesson, he's back out here this year, and he's motivated to get back onto that podium.
I'll keep an eye on that battle. The lead up front, by the way, has climbed to nearly 10 seconds. McMahon over Stewart. Dropping further back, this is 5th place running Ellis.
McMahon has not let up at all. He's still turning 57s. His fastest lap of the race was, I want to say the 3rd or 4th lap, was a 57.863. Just ran a 57.866.
To give you an idea, only one other driver has been under 2 minutes, and none have done better than a 59.8, other than McMahon, whose best lap is a 57.866.
And he just turned another fastest first sector. He's just not letting up at all. He's doing that inch perfect and doesn't want to get out of rhythm. We've seen other races, we've seen leaders just have that little mind break where you start to think to yourself, let me just bring the car home, and it takes you out of that rhythm. If you do that on a track like this, you miss that braking mark by a couple of inches, and now inch perfect becomes inch imperfect, and now you're putting the car into the dry grass, where, as you saw with, was it Gray or Maccabee, where they put the car in the grass, couldn't come back out.
A couple of East Coast competitors here. We got Corey McLeod in the red car, currently running in the 8th spot. He is from North Carolina, Charlotte area, so this is pretty local for him. And then the New Jersey native, Jay Beckley, in 9th, making a move to the outside. He make that the inside there, and he gets it done. So move Beckley up to 8th place, started 10th, so he's been able to make up a couple of spots from the Scuderia Frenzinta racing operation, driving a Quadrini.
You can hear both of them as they come up here. That zinging motor that's obviously not shifting, that is them kind of modulating mid-corner of the 2-stroke with the clutches. That's obviously one of the slower portions of the track. That's where you might be coming off the clutches. They're just trying to keep the back end rotating, because you don't get much of that engine drag rotate like you might get in a full gearbox car.
So how does driving style change between the two engine formats?
The biggest thing probably is that slower corner, middle corner, where is in the gearbox, you can pick a gear and you can use a traditional, use the throttle to modulate and let it rotate with you. When you're in the clutch, the slower the corners and the belts sort of release a little bit, the cars just don't have that engine drag anymore. So what you'll see here him do is you could be a lot more brakes, maybe pumping the brakes, trying to change the way they rotate. It's really important on setup to get it right, but then driving-wise, you're just trying to keep the clutches grabbing, so when you do finally go back to it, like coming out of Oak Tree, you're fully on it, and the motor can sing down the back straight.
This is a good look at Russell Straight Jr. from New York. 6th runoff start for him. He was at Sonoma a year ago and finished 2nd. Has had a busy year racing this car, both in Hoosier Super Tour, 10 starts, but also 20 U.S. Majors Tour starts. He's been building up for this event. There's no doubt about it. You don't run that many races unless you've got your eye on making an impact at the runoffs.
Loves driving that car. Just at every race, every weekend, he's somewhere with it. Watching McMahon again, his last lap was a 57.665, resetting fastest lap every single time he goes by. This lap again, fastest first sector. He's just a machine right now.
A 157.665 the last time by. The lead has ballooned to 11.6 seconds. McMahon in charge in F500.
Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was brought to you by Haggerty, for people who love cars.
Who's got the ponies? It will be Master again, and across the line, it's 3 in a row for Master Team Yost.
Clint McMahon has built up a 12.7 second lead here at VIR, coming around to complete yet another lap, crossing the halfway mark as well on that last lap. Now just 7 laps to go as he crosses the line there. It's a dominating performance, and speaking of performance, Larry, these cars are really performing. This track gives them a chance to stretch their legs and show what they're capable of.
Yeah, you look at these little cars, you say, okay, you know, how much power can they have? How fast can they really go? I'm looking at top trap speed. It's been over 140 miles an hour down the back straight. These are screaming, and we talked earlier about the aero. They do make some downforce, so these things really boogie around here now, under 2 minutes a lap. I mean, you know, look at some of the other classes we've seen, and you'll see cars running a 2:14 being an acceptable lap. These guys are 20 seconds, almost 20 seconds faster than that. They are just screaming around this place.
McMahon's last lap, a 158.1. No one else even in the ballpark as we take a look at second place running Calvin Stewart, champion in 2015 of this class, racing at Daytona. Speaking of tracks where these cars can stretch their legs, you said he has a reputation for bringing, or Hayward, I guess, said he has a reputation of bringing cars that are fast in a straight line. I imagine that served him well on the high banks.
I would think so. And just, you can see these cars, great shot here. You can see the cars actually moving a little bit and a little bit of body roll in them. They're not completely just rock solid. Those pucks do have some play in them. And you can see them as they come in here. You can look at right there, the lift on the inside of that front nose, but not easy to drive. You watch Lapham right there, and the car just goes, even under braking, it's a little squirrel, a little here, a little bit. Probably in there adjusting the brake bias as well.
Best battle on the track in recent laps has been McCree and Lapham.
So McCree using one of the back markers. I believe that's probably one of our Mitchell racing cars that he just went on by.
Walbrin, I believe, able to clear the lap traffic even before they get to the braking zone. That's the ideal situation, and that gives him some breathing room, and it looks like he is actually tracking down Calvin Stewart. That gap is closed significantly.
It is, yes. Now just a couple seconds, about 2 seconds between them, and with 6 to go, that's not out of range at all. You can see them now in the same shot. McCree is definitely pouncing.
We'll see them come across the line now, and that gap has dropped to 1.2 seconds. Now, certainly traffic could have played a part in that, and we know Lapham's got some pace too, but look at that last lap from McCree, a 1:59.1. Unless your name is McMahon, that's an awfully good lap.
And right now, you look at Stewart, McCree, and Lapham. They're all best laps are 59.1s, but it's McCree is the fast guy on the track right now. He's a full second and even a second and a half faster than Lapham. He's a second ahead of Stewart. Stewart now, you watch the car moving around a lot. I just wonder if maybe the tires are getting a little bit greasy. He's really been throwing it. And now, what if his car is a little bit, softer out there, and it's just a little harder on the tires? But you just look right now at McCree, and he is a man on a mission to try and catch that second step.
Temperatures are pretty mild, but it is quite sunny. Do you have a sense for how temperature sensitive this track surface is?
It is up to like earlier in the week when it was cold. Tuesday was overcast the entire day. We even did a bit of misting. The track temps barely got over about 70 degrees. Lap times really did start to fall Wednesday when the sun came out. So it definitely helps, but at this point, they're not overheating. It's just a matter of how conditions are the tires and what did they do to prep those tires. Stewart's sector times and lap times, although he does do a good first sector there. We'll see what his second sector is on this one by. But McCree is going to be on his gearbox here. I say gearbox because they each have one in just a moment.
Further back in the top 10, just wanted to note that Beckley has just made the move for 8th place to get by McLeod on the last lap. So move Beckley to 8th, McLeod back to 9th. But this right here, battle for 2nd, as Lapham has dropped off a little bit. I think this is the fight to keep an eye on here for the final 5 laps. These two fighting for position on the podium, and this race seems to be coming to McCree as we go along.
Lapham, you watched the camera on him during the first part of this lap, and he really seemed to be struggling under braking, especially going through 1, going into Oak Tree turn. He was really struggling. Now this camera shot coming into 1, you can see here is how stable. Yeah, McCree, very stable, able to gain a little bit further. Also is, but coming out, he's got the back end coming out. So, but a great, nice, tight line as they come into NASCAR Bend. He has closed that gap significantly.
It probably shouldn't come as a surprise to see McCree running where he is, even though his only previous runoff start was an unrepresentative 35th. He was picked 3rd by the folks at Sports Car Magazine here this weekend, and he is there.
He's getting a good enough run right now that if he were really daring, if this were last lap, he would be poking his nose in, maybe even before he gets to the upper S's. But you watch him, he's probably going to set him up to come off of Oak Tree and down the back straight because he's clearly the faster car right now.
Let's keep an eye on it, but you're right. These passes, they start quite a ways back. You might go through 3, 4, 5 corners to try and get yourself into position for that 6th corner to make the pass.
Yeah, and Stewart looked there very fast actually through those S's. So McCree not able to quite stay with him as well as he did through 1, 2, and 3. So it comes down to sometimes making a pass is spending a few laps behind somebody and figuring out where are you faster than them, because you might think you're half a second faster, but if you're not faster in the right place, that pass isn't going to come.
And as Hayward told us, again, Stewart's car pretty quick going straight. That makes it difficult to sneak by.
It does, but even still, though, even coming up those upper S's, at first it looked like he was a little bit late and behind, but he was actually pulling away. McCree just sort of biding his time right now.
McCree is eligible, by the way, for the SCCA Road Racing Super Sweep. Have to get a win here, though, to keep that going, and it looks like that might be out of reach.
Clint McMahon is doing qualifying laps still.
Just did a 1:57.5. That's a new fast lap of the race, new track record for a race lap.
And I'm not kidding. His qualifying time on Tuesday in the really cool temps was a 57.3. He's 2/10 off of that right now. And every time I look up, he's still purple across. This is just crazy.
And that comes, 11 laps into a 15-lap race. That's pretty remarkable.
With a 20-second lead.
Right.
But look at this here. That's the run that he's able to get really good power down, coming off of 1 and get right up under the back. So now he's going to be putting the pressure on him to try and get a better run off these corners. But if Stewart is as good every lap through the S's, it makes it really tough to stay close going into Oak Tree. But you watch that late apex coming off that second kink there, that left there, entering the turn 4 section, and now you're going through Snake. He's got to try and stay with him to have a shot coming off of the full south end.
Calvin Stewart knows that McCree is there. You could see him taking a defensive line a few quarters ago, and let's see what he does this time. This was the area where we thought maybe McCree was closing in, only to see Stewart leg out a bit of an advantage the last time by.
He's closer this time. He's definitely closer. Before, he was probably 4 lengths back. Although even just coming around South Bend, that left-hander, which is that high risk-reward corner, Calvin's willing to try a little more risk to get the reward than McCree is right now. This is exciting.
This track is just spectacular, too. I've always felt like there's a few tracks that no matter what kind of car is racing there, it looks spectacular. And the climbing S's here, doesn't matter what's racing. I think you could race a tricycle through there and it would look amazing.
And the place to be for those is in those villas that are just track left. What a view. You can see him come from under the bridge, up the S's, and head around towards South Bend. Just picturesque.
McCree in the 46, that's the orange car, in 3rd. Stewart in 2nd. If you're wondering what happened to McMahon, well, he has checked out, just at another 157. No one else has done better than a 159.5.
Yeah, he's putting on a display. This is inch-perfect display. Wouldn't be surprised if he can finish this and bring it into victory lane, if that's a term he uses with Hayward in the victory circle, because he has been nothing but inch-perfect now for 11 laps.
23 seconds, the gap from first to second. And there is no let up. And to your point earlier, a lot of drivers will say it is easier just, if you're in the zone, keep at it. Don't worry about what that gap is, because if you don't start doing something that doesn't come naturally, that's when mistakes can sneak in.
You get out of rhythm. And actually, it looks like McLeod just went off at the Oak Tree Bend. But he's back underway again. But you're absolutely right. If you get out of rhythm, if you think, I'm just going to brake a little earlier, all of a sudden you change that rhythm of, you get into such a rhythm, I'm going to brake here, turn here, my eyes go here, I take a breath there. All that gets into this, almost like a dance as you're in that car. As soon as you brake that, suddenly your dance partner gets out of step and you're stepping on their toes. In this case, you're stepping on the car's toes, and it just doesn't work.
That was an outstanding slide. Our camera crew's doing a great job catching it. And you could see just that little bit of counter steer, trying to bring it under control. High power, small tires is a good combination.
Yeah, these little 10-inch tires, just they're working the heck out of those things. But because you've got that live axle, again, it's essentially like a locked diff, right? There's just left tire, right tire spin together. You need a little bit of lift on the one side, unloading to get the other side to rotate. And what it means in the corners is sometimes you've got a slip angle going through. Oh, here's the slide by McLeod.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what happened. Just got in pretty quick, able to bring it under control. And as far as offs go in Oak Tree, that's pretty benign.
Yeah, that's not bad. He did not loop it around. He's able to maintain and get right back going again. So lucky for him, because a lot of times we've seen cars go into that grass so dry, and they just snap it around. Dust comes up. What does happen then is it gets in the side pods into the radiators. So it takes a lap for that stuff to kind of fly back out.
Down to just 2 laps to go. This is the battle for second. Calvin Stewart started in second, made a bid for the lead right at the very beginning, and ultimately had to settle in. And then this has been the fight throughout the rest of the race. Shortly after Stewart kind of gave up on that bid on McMahon, like within a corner, he had McCree breathing down his neck, and it was right in this section. This is where McCree is strongest.
He's very strong right here. In fact, he's actually got the fastest second sector of the race. But you see what he's doing? He's just really hounding the back of Stewart as they come through the section on every single lap. He's faster coming out of 1. He just can't quite get close enough to push Calvin Stewart off of his line through NASCAR Bend, and then Stewart seems to be faster through the S's.
I was thinking to myself, all right, McCree, he's only made 1 start before. Just getting a medal would be a success. I wonder if he's thinking about that at all, but didn't you see the way he's sliding the car around? I don't think so.
Right now, the only thing he's thinking about is getting himself ahead of that white car. That is the only thing on his mind. And again, Stewart's been fast through here through 10. Again, he looks like he's able to maintain through here, but as you just saw, McLeod, a little bit of late braking and locked it up. They're very, very difficult corners. They're using every inch of real estate to get that hook turn back on the back straight.
How tough is this for Stewart, who has been under assault the entire race, not to make that one little mistake that it takes to lose everything you've worked for?
Always easier to be the back car than to be the one being chased. You don't have to worry about everything's in front of you. If you're the second car, you can hit your marks off of that driver. If you're in front, you're constantly peeking mirrors. You don't want to brake too early. You don't want to brake too late, and it gets in your head. But what a fantastic job that Calvin Stewart's been able to do, a former champion in this class, to, again, just hit his marks, hit the line he needs, and not really give any place for McCree to get by.
Meanwhile, 25 seconds up the road in another zip code. How about this run from Clint McMahon? Took the white flag a moment ago, and all right, here's the challenge. In fact, McCree got by. Now, can he hold on? Stewart's going to try and get that spot back. I wonder where the pass was made, but it's not over yet. Stewart wiggling under braking, trying to haul it in. They're side by side through 1. This is going to take a few corners to settle out, but right now, give that spot back to Stewart, and he's got the defensive line here.
Oh, they are through NASCAR Bend here. They are acting like NASCAR. It's a couple of bright color cars making a big left bend, side by side, nose to tail.
What a duel this has been.
So McCree had him. It must have been coming off a hog bend, got in front of him, but then Stewart slipped in behind him, got the slipstream, was able to then pull down underneath. As they're going to catch some lap traffic here by the time they get down to Oak Tree. Hopefully he lets them both run through.
That's a tough spot to be in. You're running your own race, and you've got the leaders coming up, and this is not where you want to get caught out.
Really pushed Stewart into an awkward entry into that right kink to start the S's, and really, it's unfortunate. He's doing everything he can to stay out of the way without coming to a complete stop.
Yeah, there's not much you can do in that situation. That's kind of a one-lane section of the track, and you can't just disappear. So tough luck for McCree. Certainly had his chances, made a couple of moves, had that spot at the line the last time by, but give credit to Calvin Stewart for not giving up and fighting back, and give credit to this guy as well, Clint McMahon, who led by 26.6 seconds. Last time, I suspect it'll be even more when he comes by to take the checkered flag. How about this? A second Runoffs National Championship for Clint McMahon from Covington, Georgia, and it comes at VIR.
You just see on his last lap, he's still doing 57s. He's got a 40-some second lead. He's still doing qualifying laps. Amazing. Again, inch perfect is the phrase.
This battle's not done yet. McCree has not given up. He's on his horse. But I think time is going to run out. If he had a few more laps, this thing might have had a different ending, or if traffic had played its way out, slightly different. However, instead, Calvin Stewart will take home the runner-up spot. McCree comes up just short in his bid for second, but will win his first ever Runoffs medal. And I suspect those two are going to be chatting about this long into the night tonight. What a battle they had, and a great amount of respect between those two competitors.
They are going to be sharing a few beers in a couple of hours here, as that was quite a race. I want to note that Ellis was able to get by Lapham for the 4th spot, see if he hangs on to that. Lapham, I'm wondering if there's something going on with that car. As we had seen, he was right there near this battle and just faded and faded.
Yeah, you're right. We're still waiting on Ellis to come around Lapham as well to take the checkered flag. That gives you an idea. McMahon was in his own zip code.
Yeah.
Ended up winning by over 30 seconds. Second and third were kind of by themselves as well. Ellis has taken the checkered flag. He will finish in 4th. So we're waiting on Lapham, Morales, DeLong, Beckley, McLeod, etc. at this point to see how the final running order will shake out. And it's definitely not done yet. Further in the field, still some drivers fighting. Morales, DeLong. Got a drag race to the line here a bit further in the field. Yeah. And there's the checkered flag.
Great picture shot there for the team as the two coming across the line together.
And those battles, they mean just as much to those competitors fighting for 5th, 6th, 7th as the battle for the lead does.
It totally does. Yeah, you come out here to do as good as you can, and when you get locked into the battle, you want to win that battle, even if it's for 8th or 7th. It doesn't matter. You want to win every one you're in.
So Lapham does hold on to 5th. Morales is 6th. DeLong is 7th. And we'll give you the full top 10 a little bit later.
McMahon, just what a display of perfection. Never let up, never look back. He does have mirrors on the car, but I'm starting to wonder if he ever even looked at them.
Didn't need to. Not for very long, at least. That was pure domination.
It looked like in turn 1 that Stewart was going to try and make some noise, but by the time they got into the series of left-handers before the lower S's, Clint was gone.
Well, curious to hear what he has to say about that dominant run to a second national championship. Hayward's down there. We'll hear from him in a moment. We'll also be talking to the rest of our podium as Clint McMahon pulls the gloves off. He's got the helmet ready to come off as well. And just taking a moment to let all of this sink in. I'm sure that was in fast forward for him. He had this field pretty well handled.
Look at the expression of very, very serious. He knows this was a job to be done.
Very businesslike indeed. Hopefully we get a little bit of emotion in the winner's interview. Hayward, are you down there?
Guys, I'm down here with Clint. I got to ask you, Clint, you going to smile for us?
Yeah, man, that was a hard week. That was a really hard week that we had this week, and I can't thank my dad, my buddy Bob enough. It's just been a super tough week. We come out here with a new set of body work. We didn't know how it was going to work. And we ended up breaking the nose off, on first session and test day. It was just a really tough week, and we bounced back from it. And, we tried to move forward. We got an old nose, put it back on there, made things work, capitalized on it, and started the process over it. Kept going on and on and on throughout the week. Kept getting better, and can't say enough about my crew.
It took you a couple of years to get the first one. How does it feel to get the second championship?
It feels a lot better, I can tell you that. We had so many years of this hard luck and breaking, and it was just stupid stuff. Now we've come a long ways from that. We capitalized on that, and actually yesterday morning I said, we're going to take our bets and we're going to bet the rod ends, because that's what happened to us at Daytona. And we ended up replacing the rod ends, and one of them was bent and cracked. So I'm really glad that we decided to do that. But this Scorpion was just insanely fast.
Well, congratulations to you and to your dad. Enjoy your victory lap.
Thank you.
Well, you could hear the emotion there, and he was talking about the issue earlier in the weekend where they ultimately had to go to the backup nose. He won by 30 seconds. Makes you wonder what it would have looked like with the ideal setup as we take a look at the final results. It's McMahon over Stewart. McCree rounding out the podium. We'll hear from Stewart and McCree in a moment. Aaron Ellis, a solid run to fourth. David Lapham settling for fifth. What a tremendous race that was. Dominant performance for McMahon, but a great battle for second and third, Hayward.
Guys, if nobody gets out of a race car happier than Calvin Stewart, how was that race?
Oh my God, that was so much fun. Clint had it set up together. He was gone. It was fun watching him for a while, but he definitely had it. Our number 3 motor, it did us good today. We brought us home. We got a little bit of a push later on in the race, and Eric caught up with me. Then I just had to put the hammer down and take the win. I got underneath him and made him stay outside, and I ended up winning it. I was faster in several sections, the fast stuff, than he was.
Well, congratulations on the silver here at the Runoffs.
Hey, I'll take it. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
And let's grab our third place finisher over here. Second shot at the Runoffs in this class, first time on the podium, correct?
Yeah, that's it, third place.
Tell me about the battle with Calvin. It looked like you guys were really having a blast out there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He got a little bit of gap on me, and then I think his tires probably started to go away, and I caught up to him. I actually got him coming up the roller coaster, and coming into one, I gave him a little bit of room. He's right next to me, and then he decided to push me to the outside. So that's how it goes, man.
The guys in the booth were speculating as to whether you'd be real happy with getting a bronze here, or if you were really hungry for that silver. How's the bronze feel?
It could be a silver.
All right, congratulations on the podium.
Well, that confirms our speculation. He wasn't about to settle in any sense of the word. He wanted that second place. Ultimately, he'll have to content himself with third, and I think in a few days' time it'll feel mighty good.
Yeah, going back to Clint, though, attention to detail. He'd mentioned about the rod ends. I was there in their paddock area when they were pulling those off. It's a check they do. They know that they're weak. That's attention to detail. You look at that every session. And you can see right here, first turn, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it right there.
It's a look at the start there, a little further back. Some good fighting up and down this 15-car field. That was nice to see, but this was where the battle raged for 15 consecutive laps. They swapped second and third, did Stewart and McCree a couple of times, but ultimately McMahon able to jet away and pick up his second national championship in this class.
I probably need new tires.
You do.
What if they sold tires online?
We do. We're TireRack.com.
They could offer lots of tires
We have so many tires.
and help you find the right tire.
It's called the Tire Decision Guide.
Oh, and they could ship them to a nearby mechanic.
We shipped to over 7,000 independent recommended installers.
This is an amazing idea. Sorry.
TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Experience the reimagined Mazda 3.